everybody. I'm Neil Gentleman Hobbs, and there's Ashley as well, and Harry, if they want to say hello.
Hello, Neil. Hello, everybody. Hello, Harry. It's Ashley.
Hello, world. Yeah.
Hello, world.
So I think this first one really needs, a lot of people have asked us to do a podcast and get with technology because we're all out in the fields most of the time on the microfarm. So really, it's a quick thing really about what is So Study Sustain. We think it's a fantastic project that brings nature, education and community together. Our HQ, as it were, at Kenwick Park, and we have allotments at Louth and Spilsby, and we're throughout the community. But essentially, we're embracing a circular economy, growing and therefore future-proofing our local flora. So we sow, that means we're establishing a fruit forest and planting diverse trees, berries and bushes, and building a central seed bank to maintain stock of open pollinated seeds. We study, we really are a living classroom, a project supported by our two companies, Ecolearn and Lincolnshire Outdoor Learning, the latter being for schools, which provides incredible opportunities for volunteer training in areas like seed saving, organic horticulture, understanding circular principles, food banks. And then the last bit is we sustain. Our goal is to create a lasting self-sustaining ecosystem that provides local food, boosts biodiversity through our feed bank, and delivers significant social value by showcasing a closed loop system. So that's enough from me. Ashley's the guy that is, he's literally got green fingers in the right kind of way. So I think I've said enough. Ash, do you want to go for it?
Yeah, well, I've turned up today. I've put a shirt on. I've not got my wellies on for a change. So a little bit different today. And
missing the straw.
Yeah, I know. You're probably out there kind of wondering, why we do this So Study Sustain. And yet, at the same time, you've probably seen that there's almost queues at the food banks these days. Everybody's talking about the high price of food, things like this. And also that sense of community. Do you feel like you're just sort of sitting in your house, having Zoom meetings with people every day? Well, we're the antidote to that. And so, we're out there. We're down at Kenwick Park at Louth, and we're growing food sustainably using our So Study Sustain model that we've been developing over a good few years, sort of working with schools, working with communities, working with disadvantaged groups, whoever you are. We work with people like you.
We leave nobody behind, and we're proud of that.
Yeah,
everybody gets healthy food, and that's a good thing, I think. Instead of some of the rubbish that we're buying at the shops. That's going to tag the censor, isn't it? On YouTube.
We got Harry as well. He wants to say a few words. I can tell that already.
No pressure.
Hello, I'm Harry. I'm in charge of community partnerships. So I'm part of delivering seeds to individuals and organisations and helping them, assisting them grow seeds, basically, so that we can keep them going using heirloom seeds. Seeds that haven't been altered too much, so we can keep on growing for the future.
Sounds like a good plan to me. And it's
very close,
exactly true. Yeah, well, exactly. We're out there, we're sort of growing food plants, but we're working together. This is what it's all about, really. It's all about working together, part of the community. And although we're based in Lincolnshire, we're expanding out into the East Midlands. So wherever you are, there will be something for you with us.
And we're planning on, we're getting a lot of inquiries now from the West Midlands. So we've got coverage now. We've got a good senior leadership team in place. It's a bit posh, isn't it? They're committed individuals with good backgrounds. So we can go all the way from Wales, the Welsh border, all the way across the Midlands to the Lincolnshire Sea.
Yeah, it'd be really good to sort of show the rogues gallery of the senior leadership team. Absolutely love that. It's now available on the Ecolearn website, which is absolutely brilliant. Most definitely.
So, I mean, should we tell people how we got here? I mean, my background is tech, so I'm used to things going wrong. So I'm quite surprised that we weren't killing plants for longer, to be honest. But it's closing the loop, isn't it? Because there was a big challenge, in all seriousness, with the way the weather's changing. We had to put, vertical watering systems in place, that kind of thing. So, do you want to talk a bit more about that, Ash? Because I'm not that technical. Because if I go near anything, I'm not exactly green fingers, am I really?
Yeah. So, I mean, I come from an education background, setting up new courses for colleges, conservation, environmental conservation, horticulture, things like this. But this has been a real learning curve. It's almost like if it was the end of times and we had to survive on the food that we were growing, it had that kind of feel to it in the early days, because all of a sudden, we'd be growing plants and then suddenly we'd have caterpillars out of nowhere. The attack of the caterpillars, from the butterflies and things. And we love butterflies and things. So we learn to live in harmony with them. We're not using pesticides. We're not killing things off, but we are setting up barriers, and suddenly certain plants need certain kinds of netting, etc. And like we say, we've got the droughts that we have later on through the summer. But we'd learned to live with the seasons more and more as we've been really developing this. And so now we've got collection of rainwater storage. We're storing water underground as well as overground in our fruit forest with our berms and swales and all these kind of technical things that have been developed in response to living in harmony with the environment. And that's been one of the key features. Obviously we can save our own seed, and we've had rat attacks nibbling at the packages, and we've learned to kind of have better security.
What you mean, the two cats?
Well,
and rabbit-proof fencing. That's been a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, we spent the winter rabbit-proof fencing our food forest. So that's now in full swing, protected from the rabbits. There's plenty of other food out there for the rabbits as well. So
and they don't get hurt; they just can't get in.
Yeah, well, this is it. It's all about living in harmony with nature and the natural sort of cycles of the seasons, and we've been pushing the boundaries as well, because the way that we've been figuring it was that with climate change, everybody agrees that the climate's changing. So surely that means that the whole of horticulture and farming, agriculture, etc., is also changing. The times of year that you can sow things, the times of year you can harvest, can things overwinter, all these kind of things. We've been really pushing the boundaries of testing out what we used to know, and has it all changed? And some of it has.
But some of the fast-growing plants that we've got, it means that we can now grow 10 months a year, because we have a polytunnel, 60-foot polytunnel, a netted tunnel that's just a bit smaller. And obviously we then have the raised beds outside, and the fruit. I mean, the fruit and food forest is brilliant. It's already taking bloom. You can see some of the videos on our site and our YouTube channel on that. So, when you finish watching this, as it were, I'm not saying spend your entire life so study sustaining, but elsewhere on the channel, it shows some of the stuff we do. It also shows the social value we're doing, shows how we work with schools, which is great, because the schools love it. Everybody talks about net zero, and I've got nothing against coach companies, but a true net zero coach trip, day out for schools is a day out without the coach trip. So we can actually go to schools that don't have a great deal of money, and we can take most of the classes in the school during the course of one day, which is great. And they love it, the feedback we get there. And that's how we stumbled into social value because the schools couldn't afford it. And Linden Construction, if we're allowed to put an advert in our own podcast, they stepped up. So we do a lot with them in schools, and it's fantastic. The children learn a lot about nature, working together as a community with the team challenges, and well, all about circular economy and growing food, and they understand the different nutrients and that kind of thing. You've been really quiet. Harry's not had a chance to get a word in edgeways, have you, mate? Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
I mean, Harry's more on because we're working more and more now within the built environment, so it's getting together with people and communities who think, oh, nobody really cares, and somebody will come along and make out they're doing something for us, and they're not. We want to, get people involved, and the legacy is that the thing continues, and that's what Harry does.
But my background's kind of I worked with food banks and charities like that. So during the pandemic, actually, I was a part of Feeding Gainsborough. So in my local town, I was kind of distributing food and medication, health and well-being checks. So I really saw the potential problems that we have with kind of a supply of food and how we have food insecurity. I mean, you've got people, nurses, full-time working people that are struggling to put food on the table. So I decided it's time to kind of take matters into our own hands. I've had a growing group in the local town for almost 3 years now, where we kind of, as well as growing food, we look at community building and looking after mental health as well. I work with mental health charities, and so that's something that's close to my heart as well as having the food resilience, kind of having a caring, nurturing kind of atmosphere at the same time.
Yeah, it bridges the generations, doesn't it? It bridges classes. It's great if you got a healthy environment. We found that fast growing food helps because normally when somebody will put a microfarm together, it's like the Amish, bless them. There's all that passion in putting it up, and then all of a sudden, if you're waiting too long for the food to arrive, people get bored. If people can actually experience that first harvest, the first few strawberries, the first few vegetables, herbs, that kind of thing, that's when people, when they're not just bought into it or buying into it or being sold into it, it just becomes natural, doesn't it? The people know that everybody gets a share of something, everybody's got everybody else's back in a nice sort of way. And what I like about it is it's teaching skills. So the youngsters have never learnt these skills. Some of the older people want to pass these skills down. And this is horticulture, isn't it, Ash, really? I mean, it's a dying art, isn't it? 20 years ago, I think you were saying to me a couple of days ago, everybody grew their own food. Now, all of a sudden, nobody does.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that I've discovered recently, more and increasingly, and if people look around at their own lives and other people, they'll probably see the same thing, where what they decide to do is, if anybody wants to grow any plants, they're taking their money that they've earned down to the shop, aren't they? And they're buying the compost, they're buying the pots and this, that, and they're buying the fertilizer. And then, they've got to buy all the seed from things, and they're buying all this and buying all that. And people never used to do it that way. When you wanted to, you might go get some seeds off somebody that was down the allotment and he'd give you some seeds to get.
Yeah, in them little envelopes.
And things like this. Yeah, and they were buying all this compost and fertilizers, they were making their own. My granddad, he had a big barrel in the garden and he had a big net with manure in it. He'd be dipping his watering can in. He'd be mixing, chopped comfrey into it and different plants and all this. And what's happening is that we're losing all of these kind of skills and knowledge about how we can live. And we're also losing all the mental health and health benefits from it as well, because, if you've only got to go outside into your own garden just to feel that you're outside, and it's just this fantastic place, any natural environment just makes people feel better. And people come to our sites And one of our sites at Kennet Park is within the area of outstanding natural beauty that is the Lincolnshire Wolds. But these are, countryside, rural locations where you can sort of smell the air and everything's fresh. And, we have people come that have got maybe depression. And we've had quotes from people saying that this is better for me than the tablets that I take. And it really shows the benefits to humans. But also, there's all the health benefits as well about how we're not adding pesticides and we're not handling these kind of chemicals either. And we're working with nature in a natural environment, growing food plants within natural biodiversity, which is really key to the whole thing because, we need the pollinators, the decomposers, all of those.
Yeah, and people that are cut off at home, the wonderful thing is, and Harry goes out and meets more of these people. I talk to him on the phone as well. I love that as well. But somebody that's never grown anything, all of a sudden they'll grow their own herbs, then they want to grow some tomatoes, then they want to grow whatever. Then all of a sudden we're digging them out a little bit out in their back garden. And then all of a sudden the back garden gets bigger and bigger, doesn't it? You get like a trench, like not a posh raised bed, but you've got all this food growing, and they'll get these tiny little greenhouses, the really small ones that go against a wall or whatever. And I mean, those sort of things are only £20. The amount of sweet peppers and chilies that you can put in one of those. And again, you can you can grow there for 10 months a year, as long as it doesn't get too cold. Sorry, Harry, go on. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, just going back to what Ashley was saying about it being a natural environment. And I think one of the big problems that we have is that we've degraded our soil by using monocultures, having vast amounts of the same crop in the same area, by using artificial pesticides, artificial fertilizers. Our soils just become more and more degraded. And that means that the food that's grown is deficient in nutrition. So it might be the same variety of crops in some instances that we grow. But if you're doing it in a natural environment, you're not doing it in a monoculture, and you have that kind of diversity, and you're not using the artificial pesticides and fertilizers, then the food naturally has a lot more nutrients, and it's a lot better for us.
When we was at the Lincolnshire show,
because with the nutrients, it's actually been scientifically proven that that because these plants that the farmers grow these days have been grown for size and for uniformity, so that they fit in the bag when they get to the supermarkets. They're actually not grown for their nutrient value. No. Whereas the food that people grow themselves and that we grow have got a really high nutrient level compared to the food that you buy in the shops, because we care for the soil. It's exactly as Harry was saying, the soil is really the key, because it's the medium it's the house, it's the living place for the plants, isn't it? If you see what I mean. And so you have that healthy environment, you're going to get healthy kind of plants full of nutrients, but you can't tell that just by looking at them. If you looked at one that we'd grown and one from a supermarket, you can't really tell necessarily by looking at them. But if you analyze them, you'll see that the ones in the supermarkets don't have the nutrients like they used to.
Well, we had some strange person which we found out was the Soil Association. She was playing around in our compost at the Lincolnshire show, wasn't she?
Absolutely brilliant.
For the kids, it was brilliant, but we'll go on to that in a minute. And she said she was from the Soil Association, and they went away. They took some bit away and they tested it for us, and they said it was the best soil they'd seen, hadn't they? There was no rubbish in it at all.
Yeah, they did a great comparison against the standard green compost, if you see what I mean. And ours was higher in like all areas, which was really brilliant to get that scientific nod, if you sort of see, for something that we already knew. But it's just nice to have it sort of proven, isn't it?
Yeah, these artificial fertilizers, they tend to be, just think about the NPK, the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And in fact, there's a lot of kind of micronutrients that you need for good, healthy crops as well. And that all comes part of a healthy ecosystem. I mean, you've got lots to do with the soil. That, I mean, sometimes people just call it dirt, and in a way, when our soil's degraded, it is kind of just dirt. But when it's a living, healthy soil, it's got the bacteria, it's got the fungal, it's got the nematodes, it's got the archaea, it's got all these different organisms in it are working together to help give all these micronutrients, as well as just the NPK, which is what most people look for on their artificial fertilizers. So the soil, if you look after your soil, the soil looks after the food for you, and in turn you have much healthier food.
Because if you look at a bag of compost, let's say, that you buy from the garden centre, you put, it's been heat treated so that there's no life in it. Have you noticed how all of this, it's dead compost that you buy? And people don't realise this, that they're buying dead compost, whereas we're using kind of live compost, living soil for our plants. And this is what I was saying about, that people have got the kind of the mindset of the garden centres know best. Whereas the garden centres really are just focused on making money off their customers, and a lot of the time they're not actually promoting anything new, because they're only trying to sell you what they've already got. And so it's one of those issues, you see.
Yeah, we don't target garden centres.
We're not slagging garden centres off. Don't get me wrong. I like a good garden centre as much as anybody.
But they are great for your flowers.
All these things, and it's like, everyone's just buying this compost, and it's just not as good as what we have, if you see what I mean. Or that people could make themselves, even.
We had 1,500 approximately children come to see us at we were the dirty place, weren't we, at the Lincolnshire show this year, and the three of us were there, and we had about 1,500 children, and they all made a plant pot with seeds, and that was in it was all our soil, as it were. It was all our soil mix. And I mean, they were so happy to do that, but it was brilliant. They were so excited that they could actually do something that wasn't digital. And that's the thing, although everybody's trying to get people to be more and more digital all the time, we like real life. Our children like real life. They like learning through play. And yet they learn an awful lot about the soil, about the seeds that they put in it, when to water it, that kind of thing. I think a few of their mums would end up completing the job and all that. But I mean, the schools were just blown away, weren't they?
Yeah, well, exactly. And I mean, because I work a lot with schools and school students of all ages, from the early years, key stage 1, 2, 3, 4, A level. And what you find, particularly at primary school, is children just love being outdoors. And so all of our outdoor learning curriculum linked activities that we do, science enquiry, children are just so excited. And this is what we're trying to get to, is this excitement for learning, because learning isn't dull, learning isn't boring. Learning should be fun. It should be exciting. It should be invigorating. You should be asking more questions and more questions. And then you should be finding out the answers to those questions. That's what, the excitement of learning is all about. It's like a journey. And we need to kind of maintain that, I think, that level of excitement.
That's why Lincolnshire Outdoor Learning, which is the full name of the company, everybody knows us as LOL. Don't try finding us on the internet as LOL, because apparently it's quite a popular term.
So they say.
So they say, yeah. It is. It's putting the LOL into people's lives. I'm just about to have not personally, but my 8th grandchild, believe it or not. It was almost a shotgun wedding. Let's just not go there. And all of them don't spend a lot of time on digital devices. I manage to keep a lot of them from them. And that's something I share with Mark Zuckerberg, by the way, because he doesn't allow any of his kids to use any of his products. But let's not get political or whatever. I'll get contentious. But that's the thing. Children, when they're given the opportunity to do something real in the real world, they love it. They absolutely adore it. They get to solve problems themselves. And that's not something you can do with a video game, where you got your cheats and all that sort of thing. It's not the same thing. If you do stuff in the real world, it's going to equip you for when you grow up.
Yeah, real life.
I don't think digital children are as resilient as real world children.
Yeah,
I think I think teaching by inquiry is like a big aspect of it as well. We can't really kind of underestimate the teaching by inquiry, kind of seeing where the interest is for the kids and really following it. I mean, when we do the workshops, actually, and the kids are getting the little bugs and then they're putting them under the microscope and identifying what they are, finding out what's the difference between a millipede and a centipede, and they're really engaged with it. It's kind of finding that interest and then following that interest. And really, there's no better way to learn.
Well, no, exactly. It is this sort of world of excitement, but hopefully people can see how it's all pulling together and tying together with the excitement of learning outdoors, particularly linked to the biodiversity of the environment around them, the plants, the animals, all of these sort of things that you can just go and investigate and explore. And then it kind of leads you around, doesn't it, to plants and what plants need, which then leads you onto the soil, the compost, the water. Obviously, we need air as well. Hopefully, we don't have to pay for air yet.
That's coming,
that's the other good thing for plants, of course. They're producing oxygen, aren't they? And all of these things is circling us round all the time. We're almost in this vortex where we go round and round, sort of showing the excitement of learning, linked to growing food, linked to the biodiversity, linked to the understanding of the world around us, linked to better mental health, better physical health, linked to better food. And we're swirling around and round in this big vortex. And that's kind of how I sort of see it, really. That we're always in motion and we're always circling round in this circular economy, study, sustain concept, because it's what's needed, because we all need it. We all need that sense of excitement. We all need healthy food. We all need good mental health. Every one of us.
And that starts with re-socializing, because what happened in 2020 was just a step change. It was a complete change for everybody, where we stopped being sociable. And what I like about what we do is, all right, we might talk at random and we're left of field and a little bit mad or whatever, but we do make a level of sense. And it's about, I think, being honest with each other and open with each other, and that's when the laughter comes out. And I think as a country, the natural happiness isn't there, but it wouldn't take much to actually bring that back. And I think that's where the whole community thing comes in. And growing food is a good way of doing that.
Yeah, well, I'm in total agreement with you there, Dale. Exactly. Because the thing is that it was the COVID era sort of changed things a little bit, and that's where we started to actually develop our grow at home concept. And so we were out there with face masks. We had growing kits that we had to leave for 3 days. So it was untouched for 3 days. So it was going to be COVID free. And then we had sprays and we had thermometers. And we was going out and delivering these free growing kits to often, quite individuals that were kind of verging on mental illness and things through isolated.
They were really lonely in rural areas.
Yeah.
And we were doing it. We would go every month, giving them something new and something different. So we called it the treat you can eat.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I like that. You check out the apple. Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
That,
the strawberries went down really well, didn't they? Do you know strawberries, even though they're so delicious, because normally it's all anything that tastes horrible is good for you, but strawberries are actually a superfood.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we've encouraged so many people to grow strawberries.
We've even got really people eat gooseberries.
Oh, we've got loads of gooseberries.
Not everybody knows what a gooseberry is. They come in different colours as well.
Yeah, we got the black and we got the green. And the black ones are more sweet, but they're smaller, and the green ones are more sour, but they're bigger. Yeah. If you sort of see, and we do both, and and that's what we found, was that some of these people had been so isolated that they just wanted to talk to somebody. And okay, it was a few years ago now, and everything's kind of evolved sort of since then, but at the same time, those concepts of people coming together, talking to each other, sharing food, sharing growing techniques, all of these sort of things has been what we've been doing, really, alongside working with schools. And so that's the great thing as well, because Neil,
and libraries.
And libraries, yeah, we do work with libraries, to be honest. And so, in fact, almost any public building space could be a microfarm space for study, for groups to come, children to come to, all of those sorts of things. So there is a lot of scope, really, going forward.
Outdoor seating out for people, and they'll sit down, and it's like, well, it's all like in the round, isn't it?
Well, we do the raised bed seating areas and things like this. They can be U-shaped, so people can sit together, have all the plants growing around them, so you can feel like you're in a jungle or something along this sort of line.
Or we pioneered something called an elevated raised bed, so people that are wheelchair bound or might have other disabilities or what have you, they can get all the way round. That was brilliant. We did that we've done that at a couple of swimming pools. So we do a lot in community spaces that people still use them now. So there must be something in it.
Because one of the things is, you see, is that I'm quite like an inventor, because I have all these thoughts buzzing and swirling around inside my head, and I have to get out there and build these things, which is why we've got a lot of the vertical grow. We've got I need to get a better name than the bulletproof. The bulletproof place for plants, but I've developed this so that people can have them in their gardens and nothing can attack it, and it can be self-watering, and they can just go in and help themselves to the food that they've been growing, knowing that the slugs, the snails, the butterflies, the caterpillars, everything else, green fly, and all these sort of things. So we've got lots of different inventions that we've been developing, and a lot of them have come through the teacher training program. So I deliver a lot of teacher training to schools, and there's a section in there that I deliver called the barriers to outdoor learning. And so it creates a lot of discussion about what's stopping these teachers from taking a class of children outside. And in answer to their questions, often is one of these inventions that supports the thing. So some people might say, for example, they don't want to take clipboards outside for their children, but the children still need to write or draw or things. So we developed round circular workstations. Because when the teachers looked around the school grounds, all they had was picnic tables, and you can't write on a picnic table. If you sort of see, so a lot of our inventions have come around by necessity. And Neil knows a lot more about business and how products are kind of developed through necessity, probably more than me. Because he's from a really strong business background. But it's the way that I see it, is that any barrier can be overcome. We just need that solution.
And the culture that we have, and it's a culture that I've had at every company that I've ever misrun. And
taken to
yeah, you should never give somebody a job. Yeah, you give them a purpose with a paycheck, because that way, if they fail, it's me or other people at the top that can sort those things out. But it's not just the productivity and the inventiveness that creates. It's giving agency to people. It gives them so much confidence that if they want to come with an idea and say, "Can we do this?" we say, "Right, let's try it and let's make it happen." You know, oh well, that's gone wrong. Oh, and then Ashley can say, "Well, the reason it's gone wrong is this and this." Oh, right. And then all of a sudden you do get something right out of it. I mean, my background is tech. So 9 things out of 10 go wrong. The 10th thing is the thing that makes it all worthwhile. And it's the same with us. We're always trying different things.
Yeah.
And although we want to be in harmony with nature, we want to try and, although all our seeds are always going to be open pollinated, we want to try and challenge, as Ashley says, challenge the barriers. So that's why a netted tunnel, believe it or not, can grow food for 8 months a year, Ash. Yeah, it slows down, doesn't it? But you get 8 months in there, you'll get 10 months in a polytunnel, because it will take the frost off it, as it were. So we don't have a problem, I don't think, in this country with food, if we can all work together as communities, and therefore we're food resilient. So it's not going to be all your diet, but it's going to be a good part of it.
It's one of the things that we're looking at the moment, really, is the different vitamins and mineral values within the food that we're growing for the health benefits associated with it. And so it might be that you need more iron in your diet. And so you can eat more of the plants that have got iron, or calcium, and all these sorts of different vitamin deficiencies we can actually support, and so the volunteers that come and grow the food plants, they'll be taking these home, and it will also be improving their health as well, and so this is why we see that the work that we do is so important. That we do want to expand out across the Midlands, and we do want to become national, and
we want to share best practice. So yeah. if anybody wants any information or whatever, we're happy to jump on a call, talk to you. We have an AI device. Most of you are going to say that, but that's my background as well. We call it the Prof. His full name is Professor Eco Moley, because children really relate to that sort of thing. But he's an ecological mole.
Yeah, look out for the characters. We're going to get an artist drawing him.
Yeah. So as far as nutrition's concerned, and even down to things like you use this much energy when you're just gardening or raking the lawn, that sort of stuff, and also the nutrients that you get in the products as well, the food plants, as we like to call them.
Yeah. So hopefully people can start to see that maybe this is different to what any other sort of community food growing project is like, because we are different. We've got a lot of depth of knowledge and experience within our team that other community food growing projects don't have. And the way that we grow our food plants and save our seed is totally different as well.
Yeah, we respect it, don't we? We respect the food plants. We're not quite like, Charles talking as Frankie Boyle did, talking to the plants, but we do love our plants. We do respect them. We respect everybody. I think that's what it's all about. If people respected each other more, we'd be in a much better place.
Oh, yeah. I know, it sort of shows, doesn't it? Just think how great the world would be if every business was just respectful of each other, of the environment, and and this is what it's like for us.
But the social value people that we're talking to, and we can't name drop the companies that we've started talking to, they love what we're doing. And I'll be honest, some of these big companies that get these big contracts, the impression you get of them is they're bad at this, they're bad at that. But they've got people within the companies still that have got a heart. And they tend to be, we're fortunate enough to be talking to those people, but
Yeah,
they
that's a
really
good
do
point.
care.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I'm not from a real big business background. Mine's more teaching and these sorts of things. But talking to these businesses interested in social value has really altered my perspective on big businesses. And actually, it kind of gives you hope for the future, to be honest, that actually these big companies do care about their social value. And to us, this is what we do. We're all about social value. It's kind of at the core of everything that we do. And so that's why, I've been so pleased to talk, with Neil to these companies, because it's just so much of a relief to see that actually they do care.
Yeah. It is nice to see that, because I've grown up with a lot of them, because I've been in that since I was 20. And I think this brings a sort of segue onto that. Once you've been there and you've done okay and looked at it, you can come outside the other side of the rabbit hole, as it were, and you can start looking at things of giving back. If you have a giving back mindset, you realize that you're smiling at the world. Yeah. And if you're smiling at the world, you find that 90% of the world will smile back at you. I think that's the one the one thing I would say as a parting thing, as it were, is that, be brave and smile at the world. Be sociable with people, because most of the people out there in Britain are just wanting somebody to just make that connection, and they'll talk back, because I don't think we talk enough. I don't like it when I'm traveling around on public transport, because I've got a sight problem, so I don't drive anymore. I was a bad driver anyway. But when you get closer and closer to London and on the trains, nobody talks. Nobody talks at all. Everybody's in their devices. The funny thing is, on the train back from King's Cross, as soon as you hit Grantham and most people have got off there, that last bit, there's just links of people there. Everybody starts talking to each other. It's brilliant.
Yeah, smile and the world smiles back. I like that. That sounds good to me.
I think we're going to have to wrap this, aren't we? That's
Yeah,
if
so
anybody's still here. You haven't all gone to sleep.
don't forget to click, like, subscribe, and get in contact if
Yeah,
you'd like
please.
to
Yeah,
chat.
let's talk. Let's sort the world out. That's what it's all about. And start with Britain.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Bye.
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 Bye.